Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Community Updates and Enlightened Hearts. I'm your host, Michelle White, and this evening we have some wonderful people. We have Dr. Lion Daniel Rathburn and Lion Ted Robinson, and we're going to be talking about vision and the importance of protecting our eyes and vision screenings, both being done for adults and for children. And we're all Lions Club members, and Dr. Regina will be coming in shortly, and we're going to, this weekend on the 15th, we have a recycling project where we're recycling furniture and home goods and giving them away free to people. There are a lot of people that don't have beds and couches and things that we take for granted, that don't have plates and cups. They might have one plate, one cup, or nothing, or they're sleeping on the floor. So as human beings, it is incumbent upon us to, number one, help protect our environment. Stop throwing things out into on your front lawns, couches and things that could be useful to someone else. Let's protect our environment. It's upon each one of us, not the other person. Each one of us need to recycle, whether it's bottles, whether it's eyeglasses, whether it is your furniture. So this coming Saturday, on the 15th of July, we're going to host the Lions Club International will be hosting a recycling and the environment furniture and home goods giveaway. We're giving away things to people. It's fine for the organizations where you have to pay, but when I'm going through something or when someone is going through something, if we can bless them with some free items, that helps their mental state of mind, that helps their finances. They're already, if I'm really not making much money, every little bit counts.
Skip the thrift shop middleman, right?
Exactly. So Lions Club International, which is the largest service organization in the world, we will be out at 16111 Woodward in Highland Park. Again, that's 16111 Woodward in Highland Park, Michigan, and we'll be there from 10 to 4 this coming Saturday, giving away free things, giving away couches and beds and clothing. Oh, there's oodles of clothing and plates, and we've got some wonderful dish sets and just many things, mattresses. Mattress company just called and giving away like 6 to 10 mattresses.
New mattresses.
Wow. From a mattress company. Nice. And then a gentleman just called a moment ago that has a furniture moving company, and he's offering to help you move your furniture for a small fee, I'm sure, to your location. So I will speak to him again later, right after the show. Hey, Regina, how are you, Dr. Hall?
Good. Sorry for my time.
Okay. The traffic was heavy. That's all right. So it's at 16111 Woodward this coming Saturday, the 15th. If you want to volunteer, maybe you don't know that for your youth, your grade school youth, your high school youth, college students, and definitely medical students, when you volunteer, all the volunteer hours that you put in help get scholarships. When people are looking at you applying for grants and things, and if you're in the medical field, it's incumbent upon you. They want you to not just be a doctor that's smart. They want you to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever area that you're doing in the medical field that has a heart for people. How about that's a big thing?
Compassion.
Doctor with a heart. Right. Doctor with a heart. Serving with a heart. So we will be giving out community service for those of you who come out and volunteer. We will give you community service letters right on the spot where you can get your community service hours. And every time I say it, I think about people that need community service hours because they've been in some trouble and need some community service. Hey, come on out and volunteer. We'll be there at 16111 Woodward from 12 noon to 7 on Friday the 14th, and we will be there on Saturday the 15th. If you're volunteering, you come out at 8. Other than that, the doors open at 10 p.m. Registration will be done right there at the site. Again, that's 16111 Woodward, Maiden House Ministries in Highland Park, Michigan.
Now, why are the volunteers coming on Friday?
To help sort. Thank you, Daniel. So they're going to help. We want to make things look nice. Who likes to go shopping if everything looks disheveled?
I don't.
I don't either. So we want to make them look nice, and when we go into homes, right now, just since we started this project 4 years ago, and since August though of last year, just since August of 2022, we put over 500 homes we filled up with furniture.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Just last year.
Pandemic thing.
Just since last year.
That's awesome.
But we've been doing it for 4 years.
That's
Technically,
awesome.
I've been doing it for 20 years. But now with the Lions Club, we're able to make more of an impact and help people. And we look forward to expand, beyond the general area. We can, there are people that are, recycling is everywhere.
Exactly. And people hurting everywhere, too.
And people are hurting everywhere.
Yes. I recall I did this is when Mayor Young was living, and we did a citywide garage sale. And there were some pieces there, and I was like, okay, it was towards the end. I was like, we can throw this in the garbage. There's no one going to want this. And these people came in and got the stuff, and then the lady looked at me and she said, someone else's junk is someone else's treasure.
That's right.
Yes.
That is exactly
and
right.
I never forgot that.
So true. I love estate sales. Estate sale and antiques.
Yes.
Love them. But again, you're watching us right here on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the land. You can catch us on all streaming platforms: Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and whatever streaming platform that you use. And tonight, if you want to call in and have any questions, we're going to be talking about our eyesight, our vision. You can give us a call right here at 313-355-6018. Again, that number is 313-355-6018. As you know, with community updates, we always give information out at the beginning, at the top of the hour, whether it be jobs or school information. But you can just go to my Facebook page at Michelle Turner White on Facebook or Instagram. I don't know what my Instagram is. I think it's Michelle White Turner or something like that. But you can find me.
Right.
I can't. I just was I was having challenges with the new laptop.
You need an assistant, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I've got to get like Dr. Hall over here. Have a good assistant.
Yes.
So that's
you can't
important.
do it all.
That's exactly right. So just go to the Facebook page. We're going to jump right in here. Dr. Hall, did you have anything that you wanted to share with the community on community updates portion?
I'll wait and let us jump in with our guests.
I will say that these are things that the station gave us. There's a summer concert series in Recovery Park, which is over here where we're located at 5470 Shane. And on the 22nd, they have Larry Lee and the Back in the Day Band. I don't know if you've ever heard them, but they are awesome.
Are they? Really?
Oh, my goodness, yes. And they've been on Fox 2 News. They've been on all the news channels. And they are often in the casino. And they are really good. They do the Motown. They throw down.
Okay.
And Brandon Rose, and so Larry Lee and the Back in the Day Band will be here Saturday, July the 22nd. And Brandon Rose and Soul Therapy will be here Saturday, July 29th. And Tropical will be here August the 5th. But you can check out Recovery Park. Go to their Facebook page. Just type in Recovery Park in your Google, or even check them out on Eventbrite. And they have various events that are taking place. And then Sunday, July the 16th, the Michigan Jazz Festival is going to be at the Vista Tech Center in Schoolcraft College in Livonia. And they're going to have just a myriad of jazz artists that will be out July the 16th all day long, and you can come out and hear them. You can go to michiganjazzfestival.org and see the lineup of the people that will be out there. They have over 35 bands and 6 stages. So it'll be all day long. Everything is absolutely free. So if you're looking for just a cool day to go out and have some fun, go to michiganjazzfestival.org and check out the lineup. But go over to Schoolcraft College in Livonia and be a part of the Michigan Jazz Festival. If we want to keep a lot of these ventures going, we've got to go out and support them. And I don't know about you, but I love a good evening of just some music. I used to live in Southfield. I like polka music. I used to go and listen to all the music. I did. I love it all. And I would go right next door because they would do it in the gazebo next to where I lived. And my son and I would get out there and, listen to all
Bring
kind
the
of
long
music.
chairs and just hang out. Right?
Get the chairs and hang out, and it's just fun. So
I'm going to try to catch Trifocal. They sound like a vision-oriented musical group.
they do, they really do. Oh, and I forgot that there's also the Matt LaRusso Trio, and this is a 2-for-1 deal. That is, when is July 13th? That's tomorrow. Tomorrow from 7 to 9 p.m. That's going to be at the Aretha's Jazz Cafe that's inside of the music hall. And if there's 2-for-1 tickets, and Sky Covington is going to be the host for that evening, but Matt LaRusso Trio will be at the Aretha Franklin Jazz Cafe tomorrow evening from 7 to 9 p.m. That's inside of the music hall. And you can go to their website or go to the WJZZ website for more ticket information. So let's hop right in here, and we've got again Dr. Daniel Rathburn, who is a ophthalmology researcher. And did I bring your bio? I did bring your bio.
There's no time for that.
No time for that? Yes, there is. You have the bios up? I don't know what I did with them. I don't have them in front of me. But he's a Lions Club member, and he is just a man with a great heart to serve. And that's the one thing that I love about the Lions Club is everyone has a great heart to serve. And we are put on this planet not just for ourselves, but what can we do to help someone else? But I've got to help myself first. And then after you get some help yourself, then see what you can do to help someone else. We were talking earlier, and you were saying how sometimes people forget when they've gone through hard times. Mm-hmm. And you forget when you've had challenges in your own life, and you just like, oh, that's not my story anymore, so I don't want to have time to help anyone else. Is that really the way we should be? Not really. But you can't force anybody to do anything. So we just want to do what we can to help, and that's the one thing that I love about the Lions Club is our whole motto is we serve. Regina, you hear us talking about the Lions Club so much, you're going to have to become a member.
I know, right?
She's not already?
She's not a member already. You got to recruit her.
Well, it's
Lie down on that
interesting.
job.
Right.
Look at this. It's interesting because I really didn't hear about the Lions Club until Michelle. And then to come to find
There's a
out that you
membership.
guys,
There's a program.
I see, I'm
You
one
mean
of
the
the
football team?
largest.
Yeah, and that's what people think it is,
They
too.
do.
Yeah,
The football team.
No, we're a well-kept secret.
I see. So,
That's
and
kept secret. There you go.
and I've been hearing about it ever since we've been doing this together now.
Nice.
Because we're doing something every weekend. You just had something last weekend. What were you
Right out in
doing?
Plymouth. Yeah, it was all the Art in the Park Festival. So one of the ways that we fundraise for our club, that we pass those funds out to the community, is through parking lots. So as people come in, we have a very generous community, and when they come out to events like that, Fall Festival, the Ice Festival in Plymouth, a lot of people know about that, they need someplace to park. So we offer convenient parking right close to the event, just a few steps away, and they'll donate money back to our club to be able to park there, and we use those funds to go and do the work that the Lions do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Dr. Daniel Rathburn here, he's doing the diabetic retinopathy portion of the vision screening, and he likes to just be called Daniel.
Yeah.
But you worked hard to get that doctor, so we want doctor, so we want to acknowledge that.
See, I was going to start calling him Dr. Dan.
There you
Dr.
go.
Dan?
Before I was a doc, I was Dangerous Dan as a mad scientist way back in the day.
And he's a scientist.
Yeah, I was
And-
reading that.
Yes. So Dr. Dan received his degree in neuroscience from the University of Texas of Dallas and the University of California, and he studied bionic vision for a decade in Germany under Professor Eberhard Zimmer.
Zrinner. There you go.
Zrinner,
That's
a
good.
legend in the
That's very
field.
close.
And he founded the experimental retinal prosthesis group at the University Eye Clinic of
Tübingen.
Say that again?
Tübingen.
Tübingen.
Yep.
And in late 2018, Dr. Rathburn moved to Detroit to create the bionics and vision studies and the language that the eye speaks to the brain to the patients to improve prosthetic vision devices. And such devices restore sight to patients blinded by retinal degeneration such as retinitis, pigmentitis, and macular degeneration. Dr. Rathburn's research applies the study of neural coding in the visual system to, number one, degenerate the retina, to number two, understand how the retina responds to electrical stimulation, and number three, using the knowledge to advance the bionic vision. So at Henry Ford, where you are now, he's established the world's first electrophysiology laboratory, the very first one, dedicated to working with human retinal tissue freshly donated by ophthalmological patients. That was a mouthful. Ophthalmological patients. So, I
guess in a nutshell, what does all that mean?
He studies the eye.
we work to restore sight with electronics. So we put a computer chip in the eye and zap it for people who are blind, and that restores sight.
Really?
So if they're
I'm not the
blind-
engineer who makes it. I'm not the surgeon who puts it in. I'm a scientist who studies how to make that work better.
So for people that are blind, there is some hope now with technology that they can have their sight restored.
Oh yeah, this is a teaser. We're going to talk about this
Oh, okay,
in a different
okay.
session. But yeah, there's been over 1,000 people who have
Okay.
received one of these implants over the years.
Oh.
And,
Wow.
there's a new device that's going to be coming up next year that may be gangbusters. We're hoping it will.
Is this like could they have been born blind and it's restoring, or no? It's they had to have had sight already. Correct.
It's a long conversation.
Okay.
Born blind might be a problem. Born with a blinding disease where they have some sight and then they go blind.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Born
awesome.
blind's a little different because if you don't ever see,
Right.
then your brain may not develop so that it can understand the signals if we
messages,
put
right.
those signals in.
Okay.
Makes
That
sense.
that makes sense.
That's
yeah.
not just a bionic vision implant, that's also brain reshaping.
Okay.
So how big a problem is diabetes or diabetic blindness?
Well, let's start with the big picture, and I think you probably know some of this too, Lion Ted. So diabetes affects around 30 million Americans. There's 300 million Americans, so that's 10% of our population. And as you guys are probably aware, it's not evenly distributed, right? Populations that are poorer have a higher rate of diabetes and a higher rate of uncontrolled, untreated diabetes. So 30 million Americans, 1 in 10 Americans is at risk of going blind just because they have diabetes. And of those, of the 300 million Americans, 60,000 do go blind from diabetes every year. So that's a lot of people.
A lot of
And
people.
I have to say I'm a diabetic that is fastly working hard on because see, diabetes is something you can control to choose not to continue to be a diabetic. And did I say I'm a diabetic? I am not a diabetic because you have to be careful what you say. And so I'm not a diabetic, but the doctors have said that I have it, but I'm going to get rid of it.
Risk factors.
Huh?
Yeah, risk factors.
Risk factors. There you go.
It's not unheard of to shift that insulin sensitivity curve and shift back over the line with the right management.
Yes, so I've been managing mine, and my A1C has come down like 4 points.
Excellent.
So in a
nice.
minute I won't
Good
be
job.
on that category anymore.
Yeah, that's
But
important.
did you get your eyes checked sometime in the last year?
I have to every year.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And that's one of the issues that we have in ophthalmology, and I say we,
And
not
they found
myself.
fluid on my eyes.
Oh no.
Oh, really?
And I had to get a shot. Can you imagine getting a shot in your eyeball? It
I
was
couldn't
not
even
cool.
imagine that they could vacuum your eye out. I I was like, my God, that doesn't even sound right. But there are so many things they can do with eyes. So now I can, but no, at one point I
And you
couldn't.
know how the Bible says or different trains of thought tell you that your eyes are the window to your soul?
Mhm.
I was at an eye exam, and that's when I first heard that I had diabetes. I said, how can you see that? He says, I'm looking right into your body.
It's the only part of your brain that can be seen without opening your skull. Is the inside of your eye.
Really? Okay.
Well, think about it, yeah.
You know, the retina, we always think of that as like, you know, your central nervous system is your brain and spinal cord, and everything else is the peripheral. But the retina starts off as an embryo, as part of the brain, and then kind of pinches out. So it actually is part of the brain. As a neuroscientist, this is how we study it. And we use it as a way to study the brain that's a lot easier than getting brains.
I'm going to send you to my niece. And hopefully she's going, but you won't be there Saturday. You'll be out of town. But she's studying to be a neurosurgeon.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
I was not strong enough to go that route.
so that in most underprivileged environments, you find that they are not getting their eyes checked. The diabetes is, of course, high.
Yeah.
What's
and
the
they're
percentage?
1 in 10 people have diabetes, and 60,000 people go blind every year in the United States.
And it's higher in the African American community.
Absolutely. And the thing that really got me started on the project that we're talking about tonight is I would listen to the doctors in my department, because I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a scientist. I'm the scientist for our eye department at Henry Ford Health. And I'd listen to them saying, you know, they talk about cases so they can get better. And they said, you know, this guy came in and he was already halfway blind from diabetes, and we couldn't save him and he went totally blind. And if I'd just seen him a year before when he started to go blind, he wouldn't have hardly any vision loss right now.
Wow.
And I kept hearing them say, if we just caught it in time, right? And that frustrated me, because blindness from diabetes is by and large preventable. If you have diabetes, you don't have to go blind. But it requires good management of the diabetes, and it requires getting those yearly eye checkups, specifically for diabetic disease.
And see, that's where our KidSight program comes into play, even for adults, is we're more on the prevention side, the recognition and prevention. So, I mean, we've screened pre-COVID around 30,000 people in the state of Michigan. We do this nationally, and actually LCI, Lions Club International, just picked it up to take it international, but here locally. So we've done upwards of 30,000. This year we're on track to do 20. Last year we did 20,000 also. So we're doing screenings throughout the state, and it's all about the recognition and prevention of eye problems. So, I mean, although we focus on kids, my camera can go up to 100 years old.
And you brought one of your cameras, and I didn't share your bio, Lion Ted.
So I have a very small one, so.
But you're a manufacturing consultant. You've been doing that for 40 years, and you've been doing vision screenings for about 15 years. That's commendable. That's a lot. And you've screened over 1,000 of Detroit area kids.
Wow.
And you're the president of the Plymouth Lions Club for about 7 years.
Off and on twice now, yes, up to 7 years. Actually, we just transitioned, immediate pass. I do have a new president, thank God. That's worked out great. But yeah. So it's been since 2008 when I joined the Lions.
They made you president right away?
No, thank God. But I got into vision screening.
Okay.
So I started that from day one.
Okay.
And to me, that's where I see the value in being a Lion. I joined Lions Club because we serve, and I wanted to, serve people in my community.
Yeah.
I looked at all the other types of clubs out there. We have some great volunteer clubs. You have Kiwanis and Rotary, a whole bunch of clubs that do great work in the community, but I wanted to donate my time, and this is one way that I found to do it. So, yeah, vision screenings, we do a tremendous amount through the year. We do all the different festivals, and we'll kind of talk more about it later. Well, actually, we have trailers. So we have a dozen trailers we've built.
And it's a big one. You're going to see it out there on Saturday at 16111 Woodward in Highland Park. And it's got kids' side. It's got kids on it. And you can screen children for free from 3 months old until 22, is it?
Actually, we've moved it up to a year now. We started at 6 months.
Okay.
What we found was that because the eyes are still really developing as an infant, we're getting a lot of false negatives or false positives. So we
Okay.
moved that goalpost up to a year.
So 1 year
So
old
from
at
1
least.
year old,
1
at
year
least
minimum,
1 year
exactly.
old.
I
So,
mean,
so
do-
people can bring all their children out this coming
Absolutely. Yeah,
Saturday.
free
And
screenings.
get free screenings.
Exactly.
That's
and it's up
wonderful.
to what age?
So, well, like I said, I can do up to 100. We're focusing on up to 6-year-olds. Reason being is that if we
I thought
catch,
you could be up to 22 for your screening.
no, you can. So I have different age groups, right,
Okay.
within this camera. There's the camera's got an onboard computer that has different age groups we can do, and basically it's a file that will look at the data and decide whether they need to be examined by an ophthalmologist or optometrist, or they pass based on their age.
Okay.
So, kids site we're focusing on 1 to 6-year-olds,
Okay.
primarily because if we catch them early.
Because I sure put 22.
No, I can do up to 100 actually.
But you can, then they can go over to the
So
diabetic
20,
retinopathy.
right, so
22 is the
22 is the
diabetic
diabetic
retinopathy.
retinopathy, right?
Okay.
Exactly.
We need adults
Right.
for
Right.
the screening to be
Right.
completely accurate.
Right.
But
So
we
when
can get back
people
to
bring their children out, period, whenever you see a kids site van going up to it, or kids site trailer,
right?
and you can
Van
get-
kind of creeps some people out, you know.
So for the trailer, and it's a very
Right.
friendly looking trailer,
that.
That's
Bright and
nice.
colorful.
bright
Oh,
and
yeah,
colorful
absolutely.
with kids on
Yep,
it.
yep.
Do you give suckers?
We have. I've done
Okay.
candy. Up to the mom and dad, though. I
No,
don't
that's
want to give them
right.
too many bouncing off the wall when they get home. you know,
Right.
Especially if we're
but,
doing
yeah.
the diabetes thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
We're
right.
not even to stay off the exactly.
So
off
you
the sugar.
examine their eyes, and then you give them a form.
Yeah,
Tell
so
us.
there's actually a report. I have a copy of it here to give you.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it online here, but I have one of a pass and referral. So it kind of gives you an idea that it's very easy to interpret the way these reports are done. We give a copy to the parent or the guardian, and if they pass, we just tell them to keep it on file because it's a benchmark. It's a snapshot in time as to where they are today. So when they do go to their doctor in 6 months or a year, they can bring it with them. However, if they're a referral, they can take this. It tells the doctor everything they need to focus on. Although they're going to get a full exam. That's what we always recommend, a full exam if we pick up anything on our cameras. But at least it gives them some direction as to what we picked up. We have many doctors that use these. They actually use them in their lobbies. Right? Even our older
So
cameras.
children kind of look through that, and you have some other things.
Yeah,
that
it's an
you
infrared system that basically it sends out an infrared signal, bounces back off the retina of the eye, and it does a bunch of measurements. Actually, I mean, this is probably the 4th generation camera. We started, from a historical standpoint, we started doing this back in about '96, and actually it was Trenton, I believe, as I was told the story, that started doing screenings with a Polaroid camera.
Really?
A
Wow.
Polaroid. Dr. Baker, who was part of Children's Hospital at that point, would take we'd send the pictures into him. He would do the same types of measurements we do with the automated camera now. He would give results back, but it would take a few weeks, right? Because he has so many to do.
Right.
That's a reading system. The docs do that even to this day. They get images and they read it.
Right,
Look
right,
at it and
exactly.
say, yep, there's something wrong
Right,
there.
right,
Get this patient
right.
back in the office.
And so, what's so amazing about the new cameras and how it's developed over time is these are instant.
Dock in a
when
box.
yeah, exactly. When you,
Dock in a
exactly
box.
dock in the box. When you there's the
Dock
inside
in-
story
dock
on
in
that
box.
one. When once you get the patient's eyes zeroed in about a meter away, it takes 16 pictures in about 3/4 of a second. And from that, we can tell basically 7 different risk factors for different eye disorders. So whether they're nearsighted, farsighted, have unequal vision, blurry vision, gaze, even stigmatism, the cameras can pick up automatically. At least the risk factors. We don't diagnose anything. We just recommend you go get a full exam, right? But it's giving the doctors and the parents, because that's part of the problem. When you talk about the prevention, if you take a look at kids worldwide, most of the vision problems occur because they were unidentified when they were kids. That they didn't know they even needed glasses.
I was just gonna say that,
Right.
and a lot of times the children, you're thinking that they're not understanding, not grasping the teacher, what she's
Right.
saying. They can't see,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and
Can
so
I-
they need to have their eyes checked.
I want to add something to that because I think it's really important. Because as a neuroscientist, part of what I study is the development of the brain, and we know that reading is foundational to schooling, right? If the kids aren't on track with their reading, everything else falls behind.
Right.
And reading is critically dependent on good eyesight.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of times, kids with eyesight problems, it doesn't look like eyesight problems. It looks like this kid's really antsy,
Or they're lazy.
Or
they're just
obstinate.
not intelligent.
They're always fighting things.
Yes.
Because the kids don't know that they're having problems seeing because they don't know any better, right?
Right.
They've never
Right.
seen
They're
better.
kids.
Well, that's the thing. Kids go to school every year, and they don't know that 95%, of the kids in their classroom see differently than they do. They don't know how to communicate about it. So that's why I explain to kids they can check their own eyes. If they're driving to and from home, if they're going to McDonald's, if they see a blurry sign, but when they squint, they can see it better. They need to tell their mom or dad that they need to go see an eye doctor. Something's not right.
So I think to make it even simpler, doing this screening and catching a vision problem early can prevent a kid from being behind from first grade all the way until they graduate high school.
I know, and that's true, without a doubt. I think one of the struggles that I have, and I understand teachers can't do it all, right? I get that. But instead of labeling, I think there should be some type of mechanism put in schools where a questionnaire can go home or something to say, we have seen this struggle. Can you identify anything and take it to the doctor?
That's a good idea.
I think that would be great because kids are easily labeled. Teachers have full classrooms a lot of time now, and they don't have time for all of that. But I think some mechanism need to be put in place. I mean, really.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, and I try to educate parents when we're doing the screenings.
Which is great.
That, they're doing, and even with the kids, that their moms and dads are doing things. If the kids ever heard, don't stand too close to the TV because it hurts your eyes, right? There's indicators that the parents can see, whether they're squinting or whether they're pulling a PC or a paper too close or too far so they can see it better. I mean, there's indicators that there might be something going on that the parents don't even recognize yet.
Yeah.
So same thing with teachers, to your point. It does take a village sometimes. So you get the teachers talking to the nurses, communicating back to the parents to have something done. And this is where through the screenings that we're doing, we're at least able to recognize there may be risk factors. And then we pass the information on to the parent, and they can take them into the doctor and get them corrected. How
often should children get their eyes checked?
We always recommend a year.
Okay.
Just as a
Once a year.
standard.
So like
That's been told since I was a kid, right?
Oh.
So-
Right, yeah.
But if you take a look, I mean, especially post-COVID, I mean, before COVID, we were seeing an average of 8 to 12% referral ratings. So, and yes, there was some economic factors and some other factors involved based on where you were going. You'd see higher level returns, but post-COVID, I mean, the first 3 or 4 we did, I remember we were in Mexican Town, we did one at the Covenant House. We had a 50% hit rate of kids that we found. Half of the kids we see needed to have glasses, but they were missing for 2 years, right? We didn't catch them. So of course, now we're floating back down to the 20-25%, and we'll settle back down to the 12 to 15.
It wasn't just that you guys were missing them; also they weren't face to face with the teachers. The teachers were missing
absolutely.
all of those
Right.
opportunities to catch a vision problem.
Exactly.
being missed.
Well, I would have to think that for kids being on Zoom anyway, I mean, my eyes get dry. And staring at a screen that long for the amount of time that they had to do during COVID, I can only imagine how the eyesights are for kids. So it's good that it's going
Absolutely.
stabilizing.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the lighting in the rooms. There's so many factors that
Yes.
go into that, what can affect the kids having high strain. Right?
Yeah.
Causing headaches, causing other issues in the family, right? So it's to me it really gets back down to
So that's probably a sign when children are constantly saying I have a headache.
right. It is.
Yes.
Maybe
Right.
that's a sign
I would think,
that they might need glasses or should get their eyes checked.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things they do in doctor's office, at least when my young girl was growing up, my little girl, they would at least have her to read the chart. So they
Right.
did
The
a
acuity
preliminary,
test,
and and from there, she had to go see an eye doctor because
So-
they did notice something.
Right. So funny thing there is we routinely when we go to daycare centers, Starfish, Matrix,
Okay.
early development centers here throughout the Detroit area, we'll be side by side with the Wayne County Health Department,
Okay.
and they're doing typically 4 and up. We're typically doing 1 to 3. And it's happened in the past where the simple acuity test that you go to your doctors, your family doctor, they do catch overall about the same amount that our cameras do. However, our
And they can
cameras.
tell when you're faking too.
Can
I
they?
tried
Well,
to fake the test.
Yes and no, because
As a
kids are very
child.
smart. Kids are very smart. It's just memorizing, right? If you're only going to memorize 4 or 5 letters, right? It's you hear it repeatedly, right? But it's also the screener, right? It's very subjective. If you're at a 10-foot or a 20-foot point, right, and you're trying to recognize that that's a house or that's the letter A or whatever type of chart you're doing, it's subjective as to what the screener is seeing or hearing back reported back from the child that they may pass them. And we've found that. We've actually found cases where
Okay.
an older child's gone in and has been screened using the acuity test. And again, it works similarly to how our does in types of results. However, when we put them on our camera, we caught a problem. So it's ours are very binary. You're a pass or a fail. There is an other, right? There are unreadable results, but that's typically what we flag that no matter what. But
Okay.
we're going to see right away if there is a vision problem or risk factors for the vision problem. Where again, the acuity tests work. The state requires them to go to school. So in schools, they'll go in years 1, 3, 5, and 7. We'll go in the odd years to the same schools. Right?
Okay.
And all of the screening with Project KidSide is all free. Correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
So wherever you see a Project KidSide trailer, you should stop in. Bring your children. And there'll be one there this Saturday at 16111 Woodward when we do the recycling project from 10 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. That's in Highland Park. And again, you're watching us right here on Wjzz Cool TV. You can always see it. I have to do station identifications every few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
From on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and all streaming platforms. So also, adults need to get their eyes checked regularly. I did not know that just from the fact that when you get older, your eyes change. Your eyesight changes. And I remember I always had 20/20 vision. And I don't know, whatever age I was a lot older. And the doctor said, well, didn't you know that your eyes were going to change when you got older? I said, no.
I know, right?
What do you mean I don't have 20/20 anymore? But they changed, and so now I just wear readers. But adults should get their eyes examined regularly. And why do you think that adults don't get their eyes examined regularly?
I'm too busy, man.
Yeah.
It's actually I just got these new ones, and it was 2 years between that and the previous set.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
work with eye doctors.
yeah.
Then they
That's
say
really
doctors
true.
are the worst
Plumbers
patients,
are the
right?
Yeah.
worst plumbing.
Right, exactly.
When you're young, if your parents, and that's something that I tried to really instill in young people, that it's important that, particularly as they get older, to stay active and want to go see the doctor. And that's very difficult. And I'm wondering, since eyes are, like you said, you can see right into the soul. What are some of the things that you guys have done to try to get kids on board? I did hear you say that you do inform them, but what are some things that are being done to help kids want to take
to do
care of
the
themselves?
screening.
Yeah.
That's a good question because most kids don't. Seriously,
Okay.
It's just like the adults. They think their vision's fine, and that's the problem, right? Is they don't know any difference. So they don't know, unless there's a traumatic eye experience. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Dan. I mean, you know much better about this than I do. The way I explain to them is that unless you have a traumatic eye experience or some type of illness, right, that can also affect your vision, typically your vision gradually goes, and you get accustomed to the way that you're seeing things. You think it's normal. To the point where I remember when I first got my first pair of glasses, I could see across Gratiot. When I walked out of the doctor's office and had my glasses on, I could see across the street. I was amazed on how clear it was. So
when I got my first glasses, I was amazed. Like, wow,
Right.
I really did need these. Everything
right,
was
exactly,
clear.
exactly.
This is what our brain does, is it fills in the missing details to give us this whole of perception of us, a feeling that everything is there and there's nothing missing. You know, you hold your thumb out and there's a hole in your vision bigger than your thumb that we all have. It's called the blind spot, right? But our brain fills that in. So we're in a green screen area, so I got a green wall, right? And there's a hole where I'm not seeing green, but my brain knows there's green around it, and so my brain just kind of smooths that in and says there's green there too. We're pretty sure.
So our brain has like Photoshop?
Essentially,
Isn't that something? Because my husband, he plays tennis, and his visions are different.
Right.
And people are always surprised that he knows how to hit the ball. But really what you just said, and his eyes adapt.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty powerful.
So maybe
so
somebody's
filling in that
listening.
hole is why we don't know that our vision's gotten bad.
Okay.
So when you have a cataract, that clear lens in your eye is turning brown.
Right.
The world is brown colored when you have a cataract.
Wow.
Nobody knows it until they have their cataract removed. And all of a sudden the world is so blue
blue,
because
yeah,
blue's
right.
on the opposite side of that. And they're like, when did everything get so blue? It's like, no, it's been blue. You've just had this
didn't
yellowish
notice it.
brown mud that you've been looking through, and we just took it out suddenly. But the cataract forms over 50 years, you know.
And
That's what I
another misconception
understand.
too. Children can have cataracts.
They can't.
Not,
Sure.
It's not just
Right,
something that happens with older
Right.
adults. Children can have cataract. But maybe somebody's listening that has a question, or maybe something you're not seeing, or have some question about your vision. Give us a call here, 313-355-6018. We're here. You've got the people to talk about vision screening, and again, we're going to be out this Saturday. But give us a call right here in the studio at 313-355-6018. And vision screening is just so important for each of us
It
to do.
is.
And on a regular basis, but especially if you have diabetes. So
Yeah.
how long has the Kidside Vision Van trailer been, how long have we been doing
Oh,
Kidside?
So, well, we've been doing KidSafe
Or a little
probably.
history on
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, I mean, we started this with prior to even our state's foundation getting involved back when I said
The
earlier.
Lions Club
The Lions Club.
International.
Thank you very much. Back in '96, like I mentioned, Trenton was the first club.
So it
back
started
in-
here in Michigan?
No, for Michigan it did. And I don't know the history back that far.
Okay.
But we had a local doctor, Dr. Gary Anderson, over in Grand Rapids
Oh,
area,
he's there.
and Doc Baker here. They've been
Okay.
involved since day one. Dr. Anderson was asked by LCI to chair the Kids Site Foundation USA, right? So he chairs it from a national perspective. But he's a local resource, great resource. But just through the transition, so we started just using different equipment, right? We came out with the trailers probably, God, we had a tent originally. What we do, it was a UV reflected tent that we could do screenings in. Back for summer
okay.
festivals, back probably 7-8 years ago.
Because you need kind of a dark environment to get good
Right, and
images
that's
and
exactly
Okay.
exactly. It's very the older cameras were more light sensitive than these, right?
So do you need that for the retinopathy too, or dark?
Both of them.
Okay.
We need a dim room.
A dim room.
It doesn't
right,
have to
right,
be
right.
black.
Yeah, yeah. So it's and that's actually I was kind of surprised on how well the diabetic retinopathy machine worked in the more lit environment we were in just yesterday. So that was
We just
pretty
got our
cool.
training on this system yesterday.
Right,
Okay.
right.
This project is hot off the press.
Hot off
Exactly,
the press. So
exactly,
you're hearing it
exactly.
here first. Matter of fact, when you all are out this coming Saturday and the 15th will be the first time you're
Right.
using the diabetic retinopathy equipment.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
Exactly. It's pretty exciting. It is very
We
exciting.
did a real
stuff.
test on his eyes and a real test on my eyes, but
Okay.
for the public, yeah.
Okay, that's great.
And that's what I was so impressed about, and even with our cameras too, is that it was painless for the patient, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's good to know.
yeah,
So there's
absolutely.
no pain
right,
involved.
there's
It's
there's
like the
no
flash of a-
contact.
of a
it's just a
camera.
flash of a light,
Just
camera
pow.
lens, right? When you're getting the flash in your eyes, We've all been to those, right? When you go to your eye doctor today, right? It's the machine that you put your chin against the chin holder and your forehead against it, and they go past one eye. They look at it with a bright light. They're
Right.
looking at it very closely. They move to the next eye, and they look at. So they're looking for certain factors, right? Well, we do the same thing, but it's automated, right? It takes a picture of your lens, or of your eye. And what's cool is that it's uses AI, because we actually upload this to the
I was
cloud.
getting ready to ask you about
Yeah.
AI.
And it
Right.
uses AI. It compares your results to, I think, 30 million results that are on file.
I believe
That's
it.
what I've heard. And it comes back with a positive or negative.
So is this AI as good as a doctor? Or?
Well, it's comparing it against existing results. So
Okay.
you still want to go and get a full exam. We
So I-
always talk about.
I got to
getting a
jump
full
in there
exam.
and tell the story. So this project started, this one that we have going right now, the diabetic retinopathy screening pilot project. 2018, I was hired by Henry Ford very late in the year, and came here to Detroit. I'd been living in Germany doing scientific research, and there was a news article about the FDA approving the very first artificial intelligence that they'd ever approved for healthcare. Right, so this is the very first artificial intelligence that's been approved to do medicine. And I thought that was so cool, and I brought it to my department. I said, this is cool, and I've done a little dabbling in artificial intelligence for my research. I think we should do something. And we had actually, winter of 2019, December, we had the inventor, Dr. Abramoff, come and talk about it from a scientific standpoint to teach our students. And then we had the company that had turned it into a commercial product give a demonstration, and we practiced, and a lot of Lions were there, but also my department, Dr. Paul Edwards, was really supportive of it. But we weren't able to get it off the ground. This was late 2019,
Okay.
and then the pandemic hit.
Mm.
Right.
Yes.
And then I had a student come to me, and she wanted a research project, and she'd done a lot of service activities in the community. Her name's Nisha. And I said, there's this project I put on the shelf that I think you're a perfect match for. And I told her about it, and she said, we're doing that. And so we wrote a grant to get the money for it.
That's awesome.
And we're running this on a few, $20,000 a year, maybe a little bit more, for 2 years.
Is
But-
this the
So-
grant you got through Lions Club International or
so
different
the
one?
first grant we got was through the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan. Thank you guys. And then we found that there was a little bit more money we needed to make the project, to get it going. And then Lions Club International came in with a matching grant and gave us another $20,000.
So what are some when some people are afraid when you talk about artificial intelligence. So how can we kind of ease some of the fears?
So this artificial intelligence, it's not. It uses tools from artificial intelligence called machine learning.
Right.
And that's really sophisticated pattern recognition. And actually the reason it's so good nowadays is because the computer programmers started designing their programs with inspiration from how we understand the brain works. They actually use what's called neural networks.
And you're
in the
not
computer.
planting anything in the brain.
No.
Okay, very
So
good.
this artificial intelligence,
Yes.
this machine that has learned, this machine that's been trained up, this AI, has been trained up on a bunch of images, like you said, 30 million probably,
Right.
that originally were graded by really good ophthalmologists. And so we have this huge database of images where they've said, yes, there's a disease here, no, there's not a disease here.
Okay.
Right? And so the cool thing about artificial intelligence is we give it those images, which are tons of data, right? Kilobytes, megabytes of data. And we don't structure it very much. We just say this one's a positive, that one's a negative. And we let the machine figure out what things it wants to pull out of there and recognize.
Well,
And
before we get ready to go, is there anything
Sorry.
that you all want to share, or some closing remarks you want to leave with the community to let them know about all the wonderful things you're doing and about diabetic retinopathy, or just eye vision exams?
whether you do it with us or somewhere else, if you have diabetes, get a diabetic eye exam once a year. And that is not the same as getting another prescription for your glasses. Get a diabetic eye exam once a year, because if you catch it early, you don't have to go blind.
That's a beautiful thing.
And
Yes.
from the kids' eye perspective, we reach out to metrodetroitlions.org, reach out to Lions of Michigan.com. All of our kids' eye information's on there. we try to do as many screenings as we can. We go to churches, we go to festivals, we go to the boat races, we go anywhere there's a group of kids, right?
So
Schools,
they can find all this out by
daycares,
going to MetroDetroitLions.org
Lions.org, right?
or Lions of
Michigan,
Lions
right?
of Michigan.
Right, .com.
.com
Right.
and get all the information and find out where the kids side vans are. Find out where the
Right.
diabetic retinopathy screening is. But one
Or
place that will
request
be
one.
or
request
request
one.
one
That
for
was my
your
point. That was my
health
point.
screening
Right,
or
right,
your health
exactly.
fair or something. Just give us a call. Give them a call. Go to the website. And definitely you can come out this Saturday at 16111 Woodward in Highland Park
Ding.
and get all the free screening that you want. The kids side van will be there as well as diabetic retinopathy.
So I just want to say real quick is that there is an announcement I want to make, and it is for Health, Love, and Wellness Festival. It is the inaugural health and musical tribute to Stevie Wonder, and that's going to be this Saturday, July the 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. And you can go to www.fullandfabulouss40.org.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So you heard it here first, and Stevie Wonder's my favorite.
Yes.
But I know this he won't be there. But I'm just saying. That's a
Well,
wonderful
they said that
organization.
there is.
Oh, he might come.
Yes.
Oh,
Not sure, but he has been
Can I go
involved.
to the furniture donation and going over there?
You said 22nd, right?
Yeah,
So,
July the 22nd.
next Saturday.
Oh, next
Next Saturday. Right, next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again for tuning in right here to Wjzz Cool TV, community updates and enlightened hearts with our guest, Dr. Daniel Rathburn, Ted Robinson, our host, Regina Hall, Dr. Regina Hall, and I'm your host, Michelle White. Come and tune in next week, 6 to 7 p.m. on Wednesdays.
All right.